Hi, I'm Shalane from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be editing a context sentence.
So the sentence we've got here is Willy chose not to change his attitude towards himself, and his family thought he is a great salesman as he is not able to accept that he was nobody. As Biff commented, he never knew who he was. It's not a great sentence, as you can probably tell, and the reason why it's not a great sentence is because there are way too many ideas in this. So first of all, we have here, Willy chose not to change his attitude towards himself. So that's idea number one. And then we've got, his family thought he's a great salesman. So that's the second idea here. He is not able to accept that he was a nobody. And then lastly, we've got a quote. Now, this is obviously for a context expository. This is using the example of Willy Loman from Death of a Salesman for the context of whose reality. It's a good example to use, actually, to talk about the context. But the problem here is that because there are so many different ideas, none of them stand out, and also they don't quite make sense in this order. So here we've got, this is obviously about Willy, and then, so this is Willy's attitude, right? And then this second bit is, also about Willy not being able to accept the reality. Here we've got his family thinking that he's a great salesman, so that's a fantasy there that he presents. And then lastly, of course, we've got a quote. All of these are quite separate ideas, and also because it's for a context expository essay, I think I would like to see more of a discussion of the idea of reality and also the idea of fantasy as well. If you're a bit stuck and you don't know what to start with, starting with a quote is usually a really good idea. You can hardly go wrong with starting with a quote. So if we start with that, Biff describes Billy, Biff describes Willy as someone who never knew who he was. If we start with that, then that gives us something to talk about. Not knowing who he was, well, first of all, then we can bring in that idea that he is a nobody and that he doesn't accept that. So let's say the next sentence is, Billy describes Willy as someone who never knew who he was. Willy never, or maybe could, or never could, that's all right, never could accept that he was a, now I'll put nobody in quotes here because that is a quote. Okay, Willy never could accept that he was a nobody, and then now we can bring in that second idea of not changing that attitude. Never could accept that he was a nobody and was not willing to change his attitude to face reality. So always make sure that you don't go too far without bringing in that idea of your context. So let's see, Willy never could accept that he was a nobody and was not willing to change his attitude to face reality. All right, so now that we've talked about reality, then we can bring in that idea of fantasy. Let me just move this up a little bit. Okay. Instead of, how about confronting his reality of being an aging, oh whoops, that's not how you spell aging salesman Willy presents to his family a fantasy life of a successful businessman. So there you go. From our initial sentence, which wasn't really quite working, of Willy chose not to change his attitude towards himself, and his family thought he is a great salesman as he is not able to accept that he was nobody. As Biff commented, he never knew who he was. So from that, we've expanded it into the following sentences. Biff describes Willy as someone who never knew who he was. Willy could never could actually. You know what? That does need to be changed. Willy could never accept that he was a nobody and was not willing to change his attitude to face reality. Instead of confronting his reality of being an aging salesman, Willy presents to his family a fantasy life of a successful businessman. Whoops. Missed out on a C there.
So I hope you found that helpful. If there's something that you'd like me to explain or teach, please leave a comment on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook page or on the website. The best way to keep updated is probably through the Facebook page, to be honest. It's not always a video that I post up, sometimes it's just a written explanation. So Facebook is probably the best way to keep updated on what I do post. If you would like to get tutoring, then please contact me and we'll figure something out. Thanks for watching.